always with real estate, while there's a lot of complexity and sophistication around real estate and everybody involved in it, at the end of the day, we're dealing with the building. And I'm going to touch on a few audiences. This is just a sampling of the people that deal with real estate, but there are many, many more stakeholders. The ones we touched on last time are leasing agents. We have property managers. We have asset managers. We have portfolio managers. And then we're starting to get to people outside the organization that are interested in the data. We have the valuation professionals. We have lenders. And we have brokers. So just quickly touching on what type of information these audiences are looking for. The leasing agents, if we remember, they are primarily focused on the leasing. So who is occupying the building today, who's going to be moving out in the next year, 2 years, who's going to be moving in. So they really care about all the tenants. Property managers, they're focused on the revenue and the expenses, with a focus on the expense side. The revenue largely is going to come from the leasing agents, because revenue in buildings comes from the tenants that occupy the buildings. They're focused on the expenses, so how much are we spending in the building over the next year, what the snow removal, landscaping, internal carpeting, all that sort of stuff the property managers care about. The asset managers, they care about the 10-year plus forecast. Portfolio managers, they care about the groups of properties, and we'll touch on valuation lenders and brokers. But effectively, where we're starting is for the property managers and the asset managers to get what they need, they have to get the information from the tenants. So the leasing agents will be sending their files to the property managers. The property managers will use that as an input for the revenue side of things. They will add expenses to the equation, and then they'll build up their version of the property for that period. The asset managers, because they're focused on a 10-year forecast, their starting point is the property manager information, so they'll get that. Then they'll add on their own information, because they'll complete the picture, building it out for 10 years. Then that moves on to the portfolio manager, where the portfolio managers are dealing not with one property, they're dealing with many properties. As with actually the asset managers, where property managers generally would be focused on one property, asset managers would be focused on, let's say, 4, 5, even up to 10 properties. Asset managers would be focused on, portfolio managers would be focused on many more properties, 10 to 50 to 100 properties. And they're also getting all these individual files. The valuation professionals, they're getting their information from primarily the asset managers, updating it with the information from the property managers. Similarly, the lenders would be getting their information from the asset managers, updated with information from the property managers. And the brokers also would be getting their information from these same sources. Now, if you can imagine that on an ongoing basis, tenants are moving in and out of buildings, expenses are changing, not just on a quarterly or monthly basis, but even daily. And so when someone like a broker is coming to look to sell a building, they want to get the latest information to be able to represent to the market what the value of this property is. And the value is largely determined by the revenue and the expenses. So any change, I'll do the changes in red, any change over here is going to flow through to here, is going to flow through to all of these environments, is going to flow through to what the valuations, the valuation providers are looking for. It's going to flow through to the lenders and flow through to the brokers. So a simple change there really flows through the entire system. As with changes at the property level, that's also going to have a flow-on effect. to the asset managers, to the portfolio managers, to the lenders, to the brokers. Now, when the asset managers are getting their information, they're putting on assumptions and they're asking questions of the property managers. For example, you're telling me snow removal is going to be $100 a month, but we're predicting very bad weather this year, so I think it should be $200 a month. Through some discussion, they then agree, okay, we agree it should be bumped up, so they then go back and they bump up what they're putting for the expenses, then they're going to send files around again. Now, you can see that there's an enormous amount of interaction that goes on between all these stakeholders in the industry. They're all building on the same sets of information. They're iterating and sending back and forth information, changing their assumptions. And when you have a market like we have today in real estate, which is based on Excel spreadsheets and or documents, PDFs, or single file format type environments, there's a fortune of interaction that is being shared around in the industry. And we're not only dealing with one property, we're dealing with hundreds, if not thousands of properties. So you can see the inefficiency that really exists in the real estate market today. And while there are some solutions that come along and that can start to remove some of the inefficiency, there's no real solution today that completely solves that for you. What we're looking to create is basically a single environment, a cloud-based environment that everybody can go to. They're not having to interact with each other by sending emails or sending files or picking up the telephones even. They really just have to go to one place where they get a single source of the truth. Latest information, latest version, and essentially an efficient flow of information. So what that means is when the leasing agents are updating their information in this environment, a new tenant is moving out and they're putting in who the new tenant is that's moving in, right away that information becomes available to the lenders or the brokers. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to go and ask the question of, has anything changed, going to these guys to see if anything's changed. They know straight away what's changed. Also, when the asset managers are working on multiple versions of a document because they've gone back and forth with a property manager challenging their assumptions on snow removal or carpet replacement or any of the other types of expenses that they may be questioning, where they would have potentially 10, even 15 versions of a file, there's no question as to when they're sending a file to the lenders as to which is the most current file and which is the latest version. They know through version tracking within this cloud environment as to what the latest version is and what source they should be getting. So through a single environment where the information is continually up to date, everybody knows which the latest set of assumptions are, what the latest data is based on reality, you really create a much, much more efficient market.